Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of the Daily Bone Podcast, where we discuss all things crypto markets. That includes the majors like Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, meme coins, and of course, NFTs. Today, we're going to have a bit of a different show. We're experiencing widespread outages with Cloudflare. The team is traveling. I'm running solo. I'm going to go through all of the narratives of the day, get you informed. I'm going to talk about the news. I'm going to talk about my take on where we are in the cycle, look at some charts. We're going to have some fun. If you're listening in on YouTube, let's chat. Let's talk a little bit. Let me know what you guys want to talk about today. Same thing. If you're listening on Zora, I'll be looking at the Zora chat as well. Zora and YouTube, the two things that are working on a day when Twitter is absolutely cooked. Spaces are not working. I cannot get a space to start up. I'm going to send out a tweet here shortly so people can watch on YouTube. Yeah, so we have had a pretty rough day in the market. Bitcoin dropped below 90K yesterday briefly, sitting at 91K now. ETH just over 3,000. Solana at 137. Hype over 40. One of the best performing tokens of the day. One of the only tokens up on a day where everything is red. Aster up 11%. Hyperliquid up 7.38%. On the day. The perps markets are doing very well on a day when things are green. Like I said before, Cloudflare experiencing global network issues. Twitter seems to be semi-functional right now, but spaces aren't working, and it's intermittent outages all over the place. Block explorers aren't working. I'm seeing some issues with some crypto sites as well. So be aware that that is going on. Brutal day yesterday. Okay, sorry. I'm getting some comments on YouTube that we're getting a very weird stream on YouTube. I think I can change this really quickly to fix this. You should be okay on YouTube. It's a new feature with StreamYard. Basically, you can now stream vertically or horizontally. I see some people are like they have like a little vertical stream thing. If you're on your phone, it might be vertical. So this is an update with StreamYard. Give me your feedback if you like it or don't like it. If you turn sideways, it should go to the landscape image as well. So new feature with StreamYard and YouTube there. So hopefully we can figure that out. All right, outside of the market dump, we saw a ton of liquidations. Here's the CoinGlass liquidation heat map. Over 1 billion was liquidated as of a couple hours ago on the 24-hour Bitcoin. Leading the way in terms of 24-hour liquidations, 560 mil liquidated from leverage positions. Number of different things accounted for this. We saw Mt. Gox moving more Bitcoin. We saw the odds of a rate cut plummet. Now the favorite for December will be no rate cut in December at 53% on Polymarket. So we're looking at the Fed kind of backing off, uncertainty there in the markets. We're looking at uncertainty in crypto. We also saw an announcement come out of the White House saying that they're going to have the IRS view offshore holdings and offshore or view and tax offshore crypto holdings. So a lot of bearish news coming out in the crypto market, like at the same time. I mean, and to be honest, it just feels like this news has been building up. And then like, for some reason over the last 2 weeks, we've just been getting like hammered with this. So feels a bit odd, in my opinion, that it's all coming out at this time. We're also continuing to see the DATS hemorrhage. They're below a 1 MNAV right now. I had the Bitcoin chart pulled up. We talked about this yesterday with Kicks. Looking at the monthly here, we pinged off of kind of this moving average line in the sand here. Kicks was saying basically look for a test down off the moving average before a bounce up. We might get a little bit of a relief rally if that happens. And then it's kind of like, do we test new all-time highs, or are we going back down into a bear market? So it's going to be an interesting road ahead on Bitcoin. We talked about this a good amount yesterday. I don't want to talk about it too much, but I do want to look at the hype chart today. I haven't had a chance to dive into this one because hype is looking very strong despite the rest of the market kind of bleeding out. So we have hype on the daily here is actually crossing over the moving average, staying well within the Bollinger Bands. And the bands are tightening here. So hype actually looking strong despite the overall market dumping. It looks like it's coming out of a MACD curl here, which could be kind of a bearish or a bullish signal. But it's really hard to get bullish on these tokens that are in a, like a downward trend, considering the macro is in so much trouble. I'm going to look over at the SPX to see what we're looking at in terms of equities, because I think a lot of that is being driven by equities and uncertainty ahead of NVIDIA's earnings, which I believe is today or tomorrow. So even the S&P fell out below the bottom of the Bollinger Bands on the daily, down almost 1% on the day yesterday. Red day on the S&P. Not looking great. Take a look over at pre-market, see if we're doing any better there. I don't think we are. Last I checked, we were down. Yeah, pre-market's down about 0.5% across the board. We're in extreme fear right now in terms of equities. We're in extreme fear right now in terms of crypto. So a lot of panic right now. And this panic has basically manifested itself in the last like 2 to 3 weeks, I feel. And yeah, I don't know. I mean, I feel like if you took some profits near the top and you're sitting on cash, you're going to have an opportunity to deploy. But I don't think you're really looking to like deploy into this downward chop. Maybe see if we can find some sort of bottom first and an indication that we are going back up. I'm going to pull up the fear and greed on the crypto market to kind of look at that versus the Bitcoin price, so we can see how exactly things have fared when we've hit this level of extreme greed. Because in the past, when we've hit these like low levels of 15, last time we hit this was early April. Bitcoin found a bottom. We hit it in March as well. Bitcoin found a local bottom, a bounce, and then retested that local bottom. We saw that same level of fear, and then we bounced to new all-time highs. So over the last, basically, this is since they've been tracking this on CoinMarketCap in 2023. We've only hit this level 2 times. Both of those times have marked basically local lows on Bitcoin. So I think there's going to be a time to deploy. I don't know if it's right now. I think you wait to see some strength, because out of both of these rallies, like, I mean, you could gamble and take like a risk on getting this upward chop where we went from a Bitcoin price of 90K when we hit extreme fear to or sorry, not 90K. We were 82K to almost 90. Then we retested the fear level of 15, went down below 80K on Bitcoin, and that was before we ran to all-time highs. And before we did that, we kind of saw this retest of 90 and then a breakthrough to like 95. Once we had that, it was a slow grind up. So I think there's gonna be time to jump in. I don't think there's any rush to like redeploy and like try to catch a bottom on Bitcoin. So I think it's kind of like almost like sit on your hand season, and not only sit on your hand season, but like maybe just look for alternative options, whether it's like low cost farming. We had a good episode last week with Funky and Micah. I believe that was I want to say it was last Tuesday, maybe, or Thursday, where Funky and Micah joined, and we talked about like low to no cost farms that you could get involved with. One of the ones we talked about was USD.AI, which had a pretty big announcement yesterday or this morning. Coinbase Ventures invested in USD.AI, so they are planning a big marketing / partnership push with Coinbase here. They're calling it the Blue Road. So if you're involved with USD.AI, take a look there. I'm curious to see what the Pendle tokens have been doing based on this news, because this is like a pretty big announcement, having Coinbase invest here. So I imagine some of these yield tokens are looking pretty nice. I'm gonna try to find them over on Pendle and take a look at price there. having some issues with Cloudflare, of course. Today, you're gonna have to bear with me as we continue to see these Cloudflare issues. But if anyone on YouTube has a good place to look at yield tokens, not on Pendle, I think Dex Screener is currently active. I don't know what else is active, but I'm really curious to see what the yield tokens are doing for USD.AI, because this is a pretty big announcement. And I know the yield tokens turned profitable, which is you normally don't see over time. They tend to decay because essentially as you're holding these yield tokens, you're earning points. And as they approach their expiration, they eventually become valueless and you lose the token. So I'll be interested to see the price action there. We've been highlighting USD.AI on the show for a while now. This is a pretty big one. So I'm excited about this. I'm pretty deep into this one. I've been in it for a few months now. So great to see there. In terms of other news, let's see what else we got. We have the Coinbase sale. As of this morning, we saw about 60% of the Coinbase monad sale allocated. So 109 million requested out of 187 million available. Just under 60%. $2.5 billion valuation on this round. If we look at the monad pre-launch here, we're looking at just under $4 billion. So you still are in the profit. This is going to end on Saturday, and the token should be released coinciding with mainnet on the 24th, which is next Monday. So really curious to see what's happening here. I'm going to be jumping into this pre-sale for sure. It's just a matter of how much capital I want to put in. And there's no rush here. I think the strategy here is like wait until Saturday and then deploy token, because you'll get an idea of like how much you're going to get, how like filled the allocation is, and then you also like can hedge against your risk of pre-market price action working against you. The only one variable that I would call out that I don't think matters, because it's Coinbase, is like if they pull the sale early for whatever reason or have some sort of advantage for jumping in early. But I think that Coinbase and like the like legality surrounding that like would prevent them from doing anything like that once they like establish the terms. So I don't see them closing the sale early. But I do want to get in this before it closes. So that's my goal on the monad token sale. And part of the reason why I'm excited about this is because Coinbase also updated their bio. So like I think participating in the sale is going to give you better odds of future sales. And Coinbase updated their bio to say December 17th. We have it pulled up here on YouTube right now. The tweet yesterday updated our bio. So that would be 1 month from the start of the monad sale. I think they were talking about these sales coming on a monthly basis. So like in the absolute bull case, it would be maybe a base token. I'm not sure. But this is going to be something that I'm actively monitoring while I'm deploying into the monad token. Just bear with me for 1 second here. I want to link the YouTube over on Twitter. So in case anybody else is looking for the show, they can find it. All right. We are all posted. All right. Yeah. So TLDR, I would put something into the monad sale, even if it's $1. Open a Coinbase account. If you don't have one, put $1 in just in case there's some sort of like minimum airdrop that we saw with Plasma. Like it really can't hurt. That would be my general idea. Next up, though, I want to talk about REKT. So we saw a very nasty liquidation wick on REKT. I'm going to pull up the chart. Actually, I'm not going to pull up the chart because it doesn't want to work there. Let's see if we can pull it up on. Let's pull it up on TradingView. See if I can find it here. Sorry, you'll have to bear with me. Some of my normal sites are all down today. All right, I think we found a good one. We got REKT here on the daily. we saw a nasty liquidation wick. This thing went all the way down to 400 mil market cap, and then bounced pretty heavily. OSF broke down the whole thing here. I'm just going to read his post because it gives you a good synopsis on what happened. He says on X, here's my best attempt to explain what happened on REKT today in simple terms. TLDR, IMF crypto didn't liquidate anyone. It's just a decentralized platform that matches borrowers and lenders. IMF is built on top of Morpho Labs, where anyone can lend money directly. In simple terms, IMF created the ability for people to borrow USDS against their REKT and other meme coin holdings. IMF also had an accelerate function, which allowed you to deposit REKT as collateral, borrow USDS against it, and then use that to buy more REKT, essentially a form of leverage. As with all levered positions, there are levels at which you can get liquidated on. And once those levels started hitting today, it triggered a liquidity cascade all the way down to approximately a 70% price decline. You could see the REKT collateral that was held in this Morpho contract, which at the beginning of the day owned 5% of the token supply. It is now down to 0.25%, which means the leverage has almost entirely been wiped. Both IMF and Morpho are decentralized. None of these guys caused any liquidations or acted in bad faith. Unfortunately, as a result of price action, a liquidity cascade was triggered. Obviously, it feels like a kick in the face for me as I've been working so hard on REKT through this bad price action. But if you're familiar with our story, you will know that bouncing back from the dead is a challenge I relish. We have delivered a lot this year, and we still have a lot more to come. I'm sure there will be a bit of greater dancing, and I welcome it. It excites me. The way I see it is we got clean positioning now, and this day will be part of the lore. Anyone who knows me will know I'm going to be at this even harder to prove a point. Cheers. So this is pretty wild. We saw a huge cascade down on REKT. And like it's basically right at, like, I wish I had a market cap on this. I'm going to try to find it on, maybe I'll find it on Coin Market Cap. Yeah, here we go. We are at a $62 million market cap right now. We got all the way down. We got all the way down below, even below 30 yesterday, 28.5. So this is an absolute steal if you're able to catch this. It had to be a tough thing to catch. It started at 4 p.m. Eastern time, and we were at $83 million market cap. It ran all the way down over the next 2 hours to under 30. And at that point, buyers stepped in and got it all the way back up to where it was beforehand at 84 within the next 3 hours. It's now sitting at 62 million. So pretty crazy to see this. I know a lot of people did step in and like kind of added positions. I saw a lot of comments on OSF's post. Like people were like, yeah, I'm buying. And for the most part, like this entire like move was recovered. I don't know how much the team put in. I don't know how much, I know Mando said he was deploying. So I don't know how much the team like backstopped this or if it's actual legitimate price action. Like with other like retail buyers and investors stepping in, but going from, 85 mil to 62 mil in a day, well, it is a pretty big 25% drop. It's not as horrific as the liquidation cascades have seemed. I'm still holding spot here. I wish I was like available to buy during this, but I was actually taking my car, which got hit by a deer, to the body shop. So I missed a good portion of this. And when I opened up my phone later, I was like, oh, damn, I missed a pretty good opportunity here on REKT. Like anything, I think it's the same deal. Like while we are a bit lower, I still think you have time for a lot of these moves where you don't need to like rush in and jump into any of these plays. Like I would like to see a larger market recovery before trying to catch any knives, because I mean, I could see a world where this does go back to, below 30. Testing some of these old levels of support before bouncing up again. But kudos to the people who did end up getting in. I see Sir Heavy Bags in the comments. He's a long time REKT fan. He rose his hand that he got in as well. So kudos to you. Great entry. Good way to average down there. And all the best for OSF and team weathering out that storm and kind of being able to roll the punches and be very transparent with it on the timeline. It's like refreshing to see. someone actually talk about bad token price action on the timeline, which was very nice. I'm gonna run through some quick stories here. I don't have links for these to share in terms of visuals, but we'll go over some of these. We saw the White House. They announced they're going to considering letting the IRS view and tax offshore crypto holdings. I thought this essentially was going to really accelerate what's going on with Zcash, because I imagine there are a number of people who are just like, okay, well, I don't want the government anywhere near my money. I need to shield everything. But yesterday, even though Zcash has been traditionally showing strength in the face of these dumps, I mean, it had a pretty bad day, down 9%, back below 600. We were above 700 there for a few days. So this is approaching the moving average as well on Zcash, getting right in the middle of the Bollinger Bands. So I thought that news would drive some more maybe attention, maybe some more traders jumping into Zcash. Anytime you're seeing governments extend into privacy, you're going to see, I think, moves on Zcash. So that's one to monitor for sure. We also saw Polymarket nearing FanDuel and DraftKings in terms of monthly visits. Love to see that. Lots of traffic on Polymarket continuing to grow and expand. Would be very interesting if you saw some of these prediction markets like a Polymarket or a Kalshi outpace the standard gambling sites over time, which I think is absolutely on the table, and could be like the Trojan horse for crypto moving forward. Being able to get people on chain eventually. I do see the case where they could be like, okay, well, we now have this market share. Why are we using the blockchain versus centralized databases, capturing value ourselves? But it seems like the ethos behind the companies is strong. So I don't see that happening, but just something to kind of keep an eye out for. Another piece of bearish news today: Robinhood enabled short selling for their mobile users. So you're going to see people shorting this down market on Robinhood. Not ideal for the continued price action, but something you now have the option to do. Aave, we saw introduce a new app. So Aave is a lending protocol on Ethereum, has been around for a while. They introduced a new app that offers 9% yield on stables. So this is super interesting. Could be something that's going to attract some new users as well. Aave's a pretty trusted name. I don't know how you're going to get this 9% boost, but they're having balance protection and 9% yield. So if they're offering any sort of guarantee or insurance on this, it makes you kind of want to consider this, because I mean, 9% yield on stables from a major player is great. But we talked about this before. Anytime you're getting more than the 2 to 3% yield offered by major savings programs, you're introducing more risk to your portfolio. But looking at Aave, this is one of the more trusted names in the space. I would consider moving some capital here that I have idle. So I'll have to take a look at this. But big news coming out of the Aave camp on that one. Some more news from the day. We saw the CBOE announced they're going to be launching continuous Bitcoin and Ethereum futures. That's super interesting. Going to increase volume on those, increase liquidity on some majors, and push them further into TradFi. Excited to see that pan out. We had Libra, the team behind the Argentinian meme coin. They're starting to remove liquidity from the liquidity pool, not to hide it, but to buy Solana. They took $3.9 million worth of USDC out of liquidity, and they bought Solana with it. So we'll see what's going on there. Are they going to use near intents to move that to Zcash and try to hide things, or are they going to actually hold and trade Solana? Speaking of South America, we saw El Salvador buying the dip. They bought $100 million worth of Bitcoin yesterday. Doing a good job of getting that cost average down, buying when things are going down. Smart from El Salvador. Love to see it. And then sticking in that region, Brazil is looking to tax crypto for international payments. One of the biggest use cases, especially for these South American countries, has been using crypto as a form of payment remittance, especially when you have high fees internationally. So this kind of puts a little bit of a tax on that. The Reuters report said 2 informed officials said the finance ministry is evaluating whether to extend the existing financial transaction tax to certain cross-border crypto transactions, including payments using virtual assets and stablecoins. So could be a little bit more friction for crypto in terms of taxes in Brazil. Not ideal, but I think all of the governments want a piece of the crypto pie, piece of the economic pie. Like, no matter what form it is it dollars, is it crypto, is it whatever? Like, they're going to want a piece. Bullish news coming out of the market, though. We have another Solana ETF going live tomorrow. Fidelity's spot Solana ETF set to go live. It's going to have a 20 basis point fee. Going live tomorrow. Grayscale is also going to be getting a Solana ETF. Canary will launch its own as well. So we're going to see a number of different Solana ETFs go live. Notably, Canary is going to be launching theirs, and they're going to have staking through Marinade Finance. So staking on top of these ETFs is something we've been looking forward to. That's going to be very interesting, in my opinion, to see how these things kind of pan out and how they affect traditional finance inflows into these ETFs and make them a little more attractive, where you're earning yield in addition to holding the spot assets. Speaking of the government, we talked about the government in South America overextending into crypto. Now the Democrats are trying to probe into Trump's crypto dealings. It came out yesterday that Democrats are looking to see what's going on with Trump. Elizabeth Warren and Jack Reed are calling on the US DOJ and Treasury to investigate Trump-backed crypto company World Liberty Financial. They're saying the firm may be tied to illicit actors in North Korea and Russia and lacks the safeguards to prevent bad actors from influencing it. They're citing a report claiming that the company sold 600,000 World Liberty Financial tokens to suspicious entities linked to North Korea, Iran, and a known money laundering service, Tornado Cash. This is over $10,000 too. So this seems like they're like grasping at straws here. But the fact that like they're pointing to like a decentralized token essentially being the reason why they're starting this investigation is like pretty wild, because any wallet can participate in that sale. Like, obviously I'm sure they had some sort of due diligence in terms of blacklisted wallets for like internationally known wallets that were like illicit actors is what they're calling them here. But any wallet that had any sort of connection to Russia or North Korea that slipped through the cracks, like just buying $10,000 worth of World Liberty Financial tokens, basically trigger this. So it seems like they're just really continuing to go on this attack. I don't think that it's completely out of the like realm of what they should be doing in terms of like making sure that these entities under the president are being, watched and like they're being regulated. But I think attacking them for the sake of attacking them just feels a bit much here. And it continues to worry me for midterms. Like, are they going to be basically going like full anti-Trump in the midterms? Are they going to say like, okay, like we're going to win these midterms and like we're going to like really attack Trump and the Republicans on crypto and use that as a wedge issue, where they point to like all these different things that have happened, like the Trump meme coin, Libra, the Melania meme coin, any kind of North Korean hacks, the Bitcoin price action going down. Like if there's a lot of like ways to jump on and attack crypto, I see that being a wedge issue as opposed to an issue that they basically concede and flip on to kind of gather votes, especially if things are looking like in their favor. So I'm going to continue to like watch this language and look for these sort of stories where they're continuing to go on the attack against crypto versus kind of taking a softer stance. So I don't like this at all. I think this is like a nothing burger in terms of like what this is going to do in and of itself, but I think it's like an omen of things that could be a lot worse going forward. So something to pay attention to for sure. I'm going to pull up Mando's Minutes. Mando is a great newsletter every day. This is one of the few sites that's not down for due to Cloudflare. So he's got his Mando Minutes up here. I think there's a few stories here worth covering, and he's got links to sources that normally are not affected by Cloudflare. You can see some of these different stories here. This is one that was interesting. Lloyd's Banking bought Curve for 120 million pounds. So we're seeing some UK firms getting involved with crypto, which is nice to see considering they've been fairly anti-crypto in terms of policy. This comes, I believe, below Curve's last raise in terms of what they paid for it. So this is the Curve wallet, digital wallet provider. But interesting to see that come out of the UK, people buying there. I did say we did talk about Mt. Gox moving Bitcoin. It's the first time they moved it in a while. They moved just over 10K Bitcoin, worth over 936 minutes, or worth over $936 million, right around midnight. So this move, it could be just getting ready for repayments or just wallet sanitization. I don't think the moves from Mt. Gox are really meaningful in terms of price action, especially when we're seeing the numbers of for like inflows on crypto kind of match / outpace them. So that's one that's like, yes, we should be aware of it, but I don't think it's as big of a market mover as it was 1 year ago or 2 years ago, just because of the amount of flows we're having now with these ETFs. Taking a look over at the ETFs on CoinMarketCap here, another bearish day. $250 million worth of outflows for the Bitcoin ETF, $183 million for the ETH ETF. Over the last week, we saw massive outflows, over $1 billion worth of outflows. We've had 4 straight days of outflows across both products. Outflows have slowed down a little bit. We'll see what happens tomorrow. BlackRock usually reports on a 1-day delay, and we saw a pretty gnarly dip in price yesterday. So we could have seen a lot of BlackRock outflows yesterday. So we'll see what happens tomorrow, if we're going to continue this downward trend on outflows or if we're going to shoot back up. This has been a pretty telling chart for where crypto price action is. I don't know if this is really causation or correlation to overall market cap, but when you're seeing these flows become negative on most of these days, you're tending to see the total crypto market cap to be red on those days as well. And I think that's kind of what you get yourself into as you're becoming more and more institutionalized. You have more and more institutional holders. I mean, over the last 1 year, total crypto market cap, you can see in this last 2-week period where we've seen all these outflows, we went from 3.87 trillion now all the way down to 3.13. Getting ready to break below 3 trillion for the first time since basically May. So continuing to watch this. I'm really interested to see if we test these lows after tariffs that we saw in April. 2.4 trillion would be the low there. It looks like we have a little bit of a support level here at 3 trillion. So maybe we bounce off of that. But yeah, time will have to tell for that as well. All right, let's go back over here, look at some other stories for today. One thing that was interesting as well is we saw the tariff stimulus looking to get somewhat of a date, mid-2026. Trump is saying it's going to be coming. I don't know if this is going to be a play on election season. It definitely doesn't line up with tax season like it would be a refund. It seems like it's more of a stimulus. So I'll be keeping an eye on the story because I think some sort of stimulus is going to pump liquidity in the markets. But in my opinion, it's not really likely. I want to see if there's any markets for this in terms of prediction markets, because I'm very curious to see what the odds are saying. If I were to bet this, I would take no, we're not getting stimulus checks in 2026, and I would bet that probably at up to a 70% chance. So we have stimulus checks this year. This was at I guess it started at 50-50, then quickly ran down to almost zero. I don't see anything on stimulus checks for 2026 though. So that's a new market that we'll have to wait and see for. I do want to bring up rate cuts. I'm gonna look at rate cut markets here while we're on prediction markets for 2026, because this is going to be a big part of how we're going to bounce back. If we do see a little bit of a push, because rate cuts are going to drive more liquidity into risk on assets. If we see a rate cut in December, I think that will kind of not be priced into where we're at right now, since it's kind of a coin flip. Looking at 2026, the favorite in terms of how many would be 3. If you're looking at just like, if you're going to get 3 or more, that's priced in at 72% that we're going to get 3 or more rate cuts next year, which is pretty crazy. Considering this year, I believe we're sitting on 2 rate cuts this year, with a third one potentially coming in December. And we're saying like, hey, next year, 72%, we're going to get at least that many, which, I mean, could happen considering Powell is out in May, but I don't know if that's like extremely likely. And I think it's going to depend a lot about what happens in December, because if we do get a surprise, a quote unquote surprise rate cut in December, I think that 3 rate cuts does go down a little bit, since we have an unexpected cut coming into the season. So I might take the yes on like 1 or 2 here, try to make a little hedge play, and see exactly what's happening here. I do like these 2 plays on prediction market. So maybe take 1, maybe take 2, and then hope we get that December cut, and then these could bump up a bit going into the new year. I think that's everything I wanted to cover today. I'm going to take a look at the comments over on YouTube and Zora, see what else we want to talk about today. At T9 user, did Cloudflare take down the rest of Bodaga's entertainment? Yeah, sure did. Sure did. They are all in the cloud right now, unable to join. Easy is actually in the clouds, flying. Everyone else is still in New York City, traveling right now, having a good time. I know you've seen Nick's content. He's been doing pretty big numbers with his May I Meet You sketches in New York, and we've had some pretty awesome meetings with partners in New York City, where still a lot of the big crypto firms are located. We got Wolfie saying Ray sounds like a broken man. Am I broken? I don't know. I feel okay. 2 weeks ago I took 25% off the table, and it didn't feel good because we pumped a little bit afterwards. But now that I'm sitting here and like thinking about it, like it feels very nice to have stables to deploy in case we get this bounce, or like when we get this bounce. So I'm just sitting on my hands. I'll deploy some into this Monad Coinbase sale. Hopefully hold that for 30 days, but that could be something that I might end up like flipping potentially as well. So we'll, because you have to figure out like how much of a return are you going to be getting on the actual token. Like if you're getting like a 60 or 70% return on size on the token, is that better or worse than holding out hope that on December 17th, you're getting a better token, a Coinbase token or another token, and that token is going to run? Like we've seen this Ponzi ran back and forth in crypto, where like you have to hold the old one to get the new one. And normally there's a breaking point where you're better off just selling it for a profit and getting out of the ecosystem. And it's tricky with Coinbase, because Coinbase is such an established entity. They're going to have direct path to listing. They're going to be incentivized for its success. So like with Monad, like, are you going to see them pump it out of the gates? Like, is that going to be an exit pump where it makes more sense to sell there? Or are you going to be holding it? They're going to be like continuing to like hold price steady over the 30 days. And then you're gonna have a new drop. So there's a lot of questions that you have to ask yourself, and a lot of different scenarios you have to plan for to figure out where exactly you want to play it. So I'm going to be buying Monet tokens because I think it's pretty much zero risk, because if I don't buy anything, then I won't even have the optionality. But I think by participating, I'm going to have at least optionality to just take profit and be done with the Coinbase ecosystem, or like be like downgraded to whatever tier like the flippers are. And then at best, like I hold, price continues to hold steady, and then we continue to jump into the Ponzi for the next drop, and then eventually the base token. Speaking of the base token, I am definitely curious about what's going on with some of the betas on base. One token that I'm continuing to look at is Zora. We're partnering with Zora. We're streaming to Zora every day, so like we have a very close eye on what's going on here. We may even be launching another Zora token for one of our creators this week. I think we're going to hold off on it today. Just market not great, but we'll have our eyes open this week for a potential creator token launch. But Zora price action has been like basically riding the bottom of the Bollinger Bands for a while. It popped up, got to the moving average on the 13th, basically a week ago. Now back down to the bottom of this moving average. This is one to be watching for sure. We're at levels we haven't seen since basically September. So we talked about Zora a number of times. We caught it basically on these two run-ups. We caught this one here. We like Zora a lot on this August run-up here. I'm showing on the chart, where we ran from like 70 cents all the way to all-time highs at 14 cents, almost a clean 2x on that. And we kept talking about it on these lows, where we were saying, okay, maybe in this area it's good. Maybe in this area we had a small relief rally after this bounce. We had a decent run back up towards all-time highs on this other bounce. But always interesting to look at this. I mean, we've been grinding down for a while. Are we going to see another rebound on Zora? This is going to be one of the few tokens I'm looking at grabbing on a market bump, because if we do see Bitcoin stabilize and make a bounce, I think that you're going to see your most outsized returns on the alts. Pump is another one. Pump had a rough day yesterday. We went all the way down sub $1 billion FDV, or sorry, so sub $1 billion market cap, below a 3 bill FDV. We got all the way down to 2.8 bill. Nice rebound today, up to 3.1 bill FDV, back over a $1 billion market cap. This is another one I'm interested in looking at as well. Easy was looking at this one as well for potentially along to all-time highs with a retest of this, or like a cut line of this 2.5 bill FDV mark. So interesting to see this one. One that I'm looking at. I've got a friend hopping on right now. Hey, Kix, how's it going?
What's up, dude? Someone in the chat said you sound like a broken man. I'm like, I can't have my homie broken man.
No, I'm not broken. I was saying I'm actually feeling good. I sold 25% of my portfolio like 2 weeks ago, and I'm just trying to figure out like when to jump in and what to jump into with the cash.
Yeah. I think being patient's the play.
Yep.
That's these things resolve over longer periods of times, but like our internet dopamine, we want to like, tick the bottom in the next 5 days, and it could be 3 months.
Yeah, I agree. And it's like I'm trying to figure out like what assets to like look for on the bounce. And I was looking at Pump. I was looking at Zora. I know you brought up Zora with me in a DM yesterday. Did you end up making any of these plays?
I did not make the Zora play. I'm currently long Aster, Hype. Obviously, I have my Hype perp bag, but spot bag, but I longed Hype on the perp side. And then I have Met and Uniswap, which are still lagging, but Aster and Hype did very well over the last 24 hours. I'm
kick you out. Like, what is this guy doing? He's longing the only coins that are going up in a bear market where everything's going down. He comes on the show. They say everyone's saying I'm a broken man, and Kix comes on and says, "Yeah, I'm long all the coins that are up. Everything that's down, fuck you."
I got off VPN, so I'm not delayed.
No, I just kicked you off because I was mad at you.
No, but I mean, here's the thing. I mean, I've also done plenty of stupid shit. Don't get me wrong. I tried to quickly swing trade a Bitcoin long yesterday, and then next thing I know, I'm like holding a fucking down bag, trying to like it's gonna keep going up. It's gonna keep going up. Got liquidated on that overnight, and then my 89K stink bid on Bitcoin hit, so at least it offset some of the thing. But I'm by no means I got liquidated or stopped out on near. I'm not hitting like 100% hit rate. This is just the things that are still alive in my bag. I'm doing fine. I'm breaking even on this chop, but what I'm seeing is kind of what I told you yesterday on the show, right? Is that I think Bitcoin's trying to bottom right around this range, could keep working up, and then strong alts are going to outperform here. And that's like what we're seeing is like, dude, Aster was at like 120 when Bitcoin was at 89K. It may have been even 125, right? Hype was like over 40 last night when Bitcoin was dropping below 90K. So you see it just in the flows. Like these things are getting bids while fucking Bitcoin's dumping. So and with that, I think if Bitcoin actually starts to move up, if we get Bitcoin working back up to 97, a lot of these things could pop off even harder. So I think finding good longs on alts is a good play like the next 45 days. But Ray, I'm in a similar position with you where I have a lot of cash I sold, right? And now basically I'm trying to just like trade perps to like keep myself from doing something stupid with the spot bag and try to just make some money on the perps trades. I'm not like trying to take a bunch of my stack and bottom tick Bitcoin and stuff like that. Because what I can tell you is over the next 60, 90 days, if Bitcoin works back up like I expect, very easily could be a fucking trap. Very easily could be a trap where you go Bitcoin chops here, works up, starts sitting around 100K, like going into next year, right? And then it traps fucking people and it goes down to 75, and that's the bottom, right? And this is all just speculation. I'm just going off of the fact. My thesis is all built on the fact that the weekly Bitcoin sell-off is very overextended. That doesn't mean it can't go down another week, right? Part of the problem I got myself into is like on the weekly, I'm like, I think this week is the bottom. Bitcoin was at 93K. It can still go to 89, right? And this week can still be the bottom. That's what we saw happen. But yeah, the weekly's really oversold on Bitcoin. A lot of strong alts are really oversold. So I think last night's puke down to 89. 89, I'm pretty sure was, if you pull up the monthly, that was the moving average resistance. And it probably just ticked and wicked right off it. Pretty close. Yep. Not there, but yeah. Pretty close to it. So yeah, I think like on a long-term view, I'm cautious, and then I'm just trying to trade some things. I'm gonna look at that Zora chart because I mean I do think that could be interesting.
What was your thought on Zora when you sent me that message?
Yeah, so my thought on Zora was just the fact that it's like sitting right now at the bottom of the range that it's been since that big pump in July, right? So like it pumped in July and then consolidated around like the 0.045 range, right? And then we had it run up further, and then it pulled back into the beginning of October, right to that same range. Got a little mini pump here, and then pulled back again. So just from like a where it's at price wise, it doesn't seem that bad. Also, when we're thinking about like Base, Airdrop, Zora, Coinbase invested in Zora, right? There's some interesting things to be had there. And then once again, it just fits the profile of what I'm looking for, which is like interesting alts that could have strong narratives and moves. And maybe on the weekly, no, the problem is on the weekly, there's not enough data yet. Yeah. On the daily, I don't like this MACD curl.
Got the 3-day here.
Yeah. But like you where you drew that line, it is kind of like a bottom structure. And once again, like, am I trying to hold this for a 3x? No, but like, could it go from 0.48 to like 0.65? Very much so, you know?
Get back to the moving average.
Exactly. And like that moving average becomes like resistant. So I'm looking for like trades like that. I played around with a Kaito long. I'm currently underwater on that. But it is trying to flip green on the daily for like a not a great MACD curl, but a MACD curl. Also, the funding on it was like super negative when I entered in. So I was like, hey, like same thesis with Kaito applies to Zora, where basically Kaito did their ICO or their token release or whatever, and like this is where the price kind of opened at. Then we did a big pump. Then it sold off to the tariff level during the tariff stuff down to these levels. Then we got that big May pump. Now it's back down to those levels, right? So like I'm seeing a lot of alts that are like at the bottom of their range, and you would think that if Bitcoin can hold up for the next 60 days, these things start to catch some bids. But none of these things I'm trading more just off of the chart than any sort of like, it's not like a Zcash level narrative.
Yeah, I don't like Kaito just because I'm fairly familiar with the product, and it's been getting worse over the last 2 months. Like,
that's what I was kind of worried you were going to say.
Yeah, like the product, but I mean that might be bullish. Who the hell knows? But it isn't doing a good job of like identifying what it should be identifying. It feels like people are gaming it, and people who are actually like sparking conversation on X aren't getting like the yaps. Like, remember when ICO had that huge like drama with Mega ETH?
Yeah,
he got like 10 yaps on the day, which is like super like wild considering that was a huge crypto Twitter talking issue, and like his post got like tons of people quoting responding to it. So
well, I may have to cut this fucking bag then. I don't like the sound of any of that. Interesting thing, another thing for you to look at is Zcash on the weekly. It's potentially getting its first light green bar on a big breakout. You would want to wait for this to close, and then also understand that like it could be a head fake. But I mean, it's not crazy to think that this thing's kind of tops narrative wise potentially. Once again, I would not enter a short on this unless it closed and like next Monday. It was definitely looks like it could be a pullback. But I mean, that's like a potential short where if it really wants to pull back, you're going to like the mid 300s. If you wanted a quick swing, you would think that on the weekly, it probably needs to come down to 500 something, but that's not enough of a squeeze for me. But yeah, I'm just trying to keep my feet chopping, looking for some interesting plays.
Yeah, I was looking at I was looking at the daily on Zcash just to get a MACD on the earlier pumps.
Yeah, there's nothing on like right now. The MACD is just like chopping.
Yes. So like we saw this light green on the daily a couple times where it was a fake out.
Yeah, you get less fake outs on the higher time frames, but you still can. Like you could have sold NASDAQ way too early, like 7 times over the last decade. But crypto, these things generally work better on crypto just because there's like not like a 401k institutional bid coming in every day. But yeah, you could see how that could potentially want to pull back, but you are shorting the strongest narrative. So there's danger. There's real danger in that.
Right. And there's like fire fueling the narrative too. Like you saw the IRS news, right? Where they're looking to view and tax offshore holdings.
Yeah. I mean, who the fuck has offshore holdings? That sounds sketchy.
I think a lot of things could be considered offshore holdings for Americans who have been participating in ICOs by taking planes to other places.
Yeah, but I'm paying taxes on all that.
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of people who aren't, is my thought.
Yeah. I mean, shit. I guess Zcash, dude. Shield it. They'll have no fucking idea. Also, good luck at spending it in real life.
Yeah, like what's the end game for all the people who are like non-taxpayers? Is just like shield the money and then wait until crypto just becomes ubiquitous. And
so one of my first my first startup I ever did was basically an SEO automated linking startup. So like small businesses would buy our monthly subscription and we'd help them rank higher on Google. We were doing some gray hat stuff, but one of my business partners, he was a guy from Canada. He was completely anonymous, but he said that basically he was doing some like internet pharma stuff, and it wasn't like illegal, right? But like internet pharma stuff is kind of gray area, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he had made a bunch of money, but he hadn't paid the taxes on it. And it was like US sales. And so this was like 2008. They created some sort of program. It was like an amnesty program. It was like basically like if you haven't paid taxes for online pharma stuff, we're going to let you pay taxes right now. And it'll be like no penalty, just interest. And you had like a 2-year window to do it. And like you wouldn't get charged for tax fraud, tax evasion, or anything. But then if you didn't do it, then they were saying, they basically were like, come like be compliant or we're going to come find you and fuck you. That would be a smart like crypto policy in the United States. A lot of people that don't pay taxes are gonna be like, fuck you or whatever. I'm not saying I want this for you. I don't care if you pay taxes or not. That's your own fucking decision. Like, go for it, man. I'm making my own decision. I judge you zero for whatever you want to do. But it would be a smart crypto policy to basically say, like, hey, do you own a bunch of crypto and you were just maybe like a 20-year-old kid and you made $1 million, you didn't think about taxes? You can pay your taxes. We're not going to charge you the 20% penalty. You're just going to pay a little bit of interest and no charges whatsoever. You'd probably get a lot of fucking people paying taxes and becoming like compliant.
I think anybody who hasn't paid taxes at this point isn't going to be like, okay, you know what I'm going to do now? I haven't been asked to do these for 1 year because it's been either too much money or too complicated. I'm going to go back and find every crypto transaction I made over the last 10 years.
That's a good point.
Whole thing.
The
like,
pharma sales were probably easier to
taxes.
figure out how much money he had. That's a very good point.
Yeah, you know how hard 1 year of crypto taxes is.
Yeah, it's honestly, I mean, it's fucking insane. Thankful for Awaken.
Yeah, just say you know how to make crypto taxes easy is you go to awaken.tax and you use code Bodogos to get a little bit of a discount.
Yeah, Awaken's been really good for me. But yeah, man, I mean, I think Bitcoin hit the 89K. I'd like to think that's, I mean, we could go down and retest it, but I'd like to think we're not going below that anytime soon. And so I do still think you could see some alt springboard. My hype bag just got nuked down 5% in an hour.
Oh wow.
Not sure what happened there. I guess it was just pumping a little too much. But yeah, dude, I'm sitting in a lot of cash, trying to make some trades. I really want to run this perp account up to all-time highs. I just got to stop doing the stupid shit.
Yeah, only do the smart stuff.
That can't be that hard, right?
Can't be that hard. Well, I've covered everything. Thank you for hopping on, Kix. I was having a nice little one-man show, but great to bounce some of these ideas off of you for these alts. But we got to wrap now. Thanks again. And thanks again for watching on YouTube or Zora or listening on the podcast. We do the show Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern time. You can catch us on Spotify, Apple for a listen back on the podcast side. You can watch us on YouTube or Zora, now streaming live every day.